Hello, I'm Jeff Lindheimer, and I'm doing my assignment on the adolescent cognitive, physical, and emotional development, and I will begin. I was born in 1963 when John F. Kennedy was still president, and as a newborn I was underweight, and I had a theory on that it was probably because my mother smoked while I was in the womb, and later on I had a sensitivity to secondhand cigarette smoke, so that might have been a cause for me being underweight. However, I had decent motor skills and I began walking at 11 or 12 months old, and by 5 years old I was playing games like catch, kickball, and wiffle ball with older kids, and I generally had good hand-eye coordination. And I played a lot of baseball and Little League through middle childhood, and although I was still small in stature at that point, and by 6th grade I only weighed 100 pounds, I was only 69 pounds in 6th grade and was on the short side as far as height goes. And at 11 years old I began to play tennis, as it was increasingly difficult for me to compete with the bigger kids in baseball weighing just 69 pounds in 6th grade. So by 12 or 13 years old I was practicing a lot of tennis, and it was something that I could do by myself too. If there was nobody to play with, I'd just hit against the backboard for a few hours, and practicing 2 or 3 hours a day wasn't uncommon for me back then. And I would go on to start for my varsity high school tennis team from my freshman through senior year, and I went on to play Division II tennis for Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Now, going into high school, I was still underweight, however, and I weighed 100 pounds going into high school at a height of about 5 foot 5 inches. And then I began to lift weights and work out, and I put on some muscle, and I weighed 120 pounds by my sophomore year, and by my senior year I was 5 foot 9, 150 pounds, and very strong for that body weight with less than 6% body fat. And I'll show you some high school pictures that we had here. This is my high school yearbook photo. That's me down there. Look at that suit. That suit I was wearing, that would make the Pope weep. So there I am at the senior picture, and here I am playing tennis. That's me up there. My warm-up suit looks like it was stuffed in a duffel bag all day, which it was, but there I am rushing the net. And by late adolescent, I had a pretty good physique going. Was in a few physique contests locally, as you can see there. There's a back shot. I had wings. And there I am there. Look at those pecs. So that ended my late adolescent development stage, and I was in pretty good shape going into college. Now, my cognitive development was normal for me through my childhood and middle childhood. I took to reading as a very enjoyable activity, and I like to read history and biographies of baseball players and later on tennis players. And I can show you how I like to read history. Here is a Christmas present from 1974 when I was 11 years old, and this is a history book, and I used to like to get gifts like that. Read a lot of history books. So I began collecting baseball cards at age 7, and I like to read about the players and the statistics on the back, and I would pour through those all day. And I did reasonably well through elementary school in all my subjects and had no behavioral issues. My grades stayed satisfactory through middle school, doing well in humanities and history, but struggling a little bit in science. I got interested in writing in early high school, and I began writing for high school newspaper in my freshman year, and by my senior year I ended up being the sports editor, and I was also the one-man staff of the high school newspaper. And I also wrote for local newspapers such as the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and here's another publication that I wrote. This is in the sports section. That's my name up there. Wrote a little article on a wrestling team. And here I am here. Here's another piece that I wrote here, and used to cover sports events. And Well, then, however, my last 2 years in high school, I was struggling with an unhappy home life and insecure parental attachment. And although I tested well on my SATs, and that and the tennis helped me gain admission to Indiana University of Pennsylvania main campus. And as far as my emotional development goes, it saw me struggle with some self-esteem issues throughout early childhood and late adolescence. And because of an insecure attachment in a mother that was physically and psychologically abusive, and some weak intermittent father figures. And I had some slight depression issues, I believe, looking back on it, and some low social competency as well, but it wasn't delinquent. And my mother and a couple of stepfathers were authoritarian style parents, and they generally showed little affection and encouragement and withheld approval usually, and that damaged my self-esteem in hindsight. And but I did have the advantage of having wonderful grandparents, and I relied on them and a circle of friends for emotional support from early childhood through late adolescence. And in a way, I was raised by my friends, as I certainly learned a lot more from my friends than I did my parents. And I was lucky, though, to have some great friends. And I have a very good friend for years in my early childhood until I moved away at age 9. His name was Jeff, the same as me. And they called him Big Jeff, and I was Little Jeff. But most of my early childhood memories are of me and Big Jeff doing things together, like making forts and crayfishing in a stream near the back of our house. And when my family moved when I was 9, I lost a great friend, and unfortunately we weren't able to maintain the friendship. And I did have the advantage of going to the same high school for 4 years, so at least I wasn't moving around from different schools all the time. So that did have an element of stability for me. And at school I had a group of 5 to 10 friends that I relied heavily upon for emotional support, and especially when the deteriorating relationship with my stepfather became a persistent source of adversity for me. And I struggled at times with self-control issues in later adolescence. And my interest in sports and playing for my school on the tennis team helped my self-esteem and confidence, as did the body weight that I put on through the weight training. I had a very strong sense of school loyalty as well. And so somehow I made it through childhood to get where I am today. And like everyone else, I've had good times and I've had bad times, but I don't spend much time looking in the rearview mirror and dwelling on the past, except for this assignment. So now I'm a husband and I'm a father to an amazing 4-year-old daughter. There's a picture of my young lady right here, and her name is Amelia. And because of my parents' shortcomings, I know how important being a loving and supportive parent is to a child. And now I'm completely focused on being the best I can be and the best father that I can be for my young daughter. Thank you so much.